Hi, my name is Aubrey Shomo, and this is day one of an indefinite duration hunger strike upon the state of Colorado. It's called Hunger for a Hearing, or the long version, Hunger Strike for a Fair Hearing. I am doing this because I have evidence of a pattern of plea coercion carried out by Boulder County Mental Health Center, Inc. against children who were under their care. I have undisputable evidence of one individual, Danny Shearer, performing this task, and he claimed he did it on their behalf. It happened to me. I was a victim of my mother's abuse for many, many years. Mr. Shearer was aware of that by his own admission. I was a victim of Munchausen's by proxy. My mother would make things up to have me forcibly treated, and this was known about by the state as early as 1997, 2 years before I was in the mental health center's care. When I told Mr. Shearer what was happening to me, he falsified his records, and he brushed the abuse under the rug so that he could fulfill what he believed his mission to be, keeping the family together, even though he knew it was abusive, and he saw evidence that abuse included sexual abuse, physical abuse, and medical abuse on the very first day he spoke to me. And he admits that he was aware of the abuse. He even says he confronted my mother about her behavior. 3 years into my time with him, in order to secure treatment for me, which he ended up not even doing, he coerced a no-contest plea against me when I finally stopped my mother from abusing me, after a lifetime of suffering at her hands, of having to go limp and let her do whatever she wanted to me, for fear that someone like Mr. Shearer, with the authority of the state and the mental health system, would just let her do it. I've approached the state with an audio recording of Mr. Shearer confessing to these facts, and Mr. Shearer's records, which firmly show that instead of doing anything about the abuse, he recorded excuses not to, and which are contradicted by his own statements on tape. So I am demanding a remedy from the state of Colorado for the plea which was coerced in its name, under the authority of the state, by Mr. Dan Shearer. The state admits that my evidence appears to prove that the plea was coerced, and so I seek a remedy in the name of the Constitution of the United States, in the name of the due process of law, and in the name of the claim that even people like me, people diagnosed with a mental illness, are entitled to basic fundamental civil rights, such as the right to trial, which Mr. Shearer knowingly and intentionally deprived me of. I'm not just in this for my own remedy, though. Mr. Shearer says he did this in other cases, and he claims it was the policy of his employer. He went so far as to describe his use of plea coercion as a baseball bat or a 2x4. And remember, he did this on abused kids while ignoring the abuse. Mental Health Center of Boulder County, Inc. should be asked to answer Mr. Shearer's claims that he was acting at their direction. After all, they were his employer. And the Department of Social Services should be asked to answer Mr. Shearer's claims that they engaged in this plea coercion with him. Either way, there will be a number of other children who had similar experiences. I ask those children to come forward if they see this. Now is the time Mr. Shearer is gettable. For the first time in his career, what he's doing has been laid bare. And even if Mental Health Center was not guilty, Mr. Shearer's other clients need him to be investigated. On the other hand, if Mr. Shearer spoke the truth and he was merely following orders, all the clients of the Mental Health Center must be looked into. There could be countless violations of due process, and no one ever listens to mental patients. Until now, because I have the proof and the state's vetted that proof. So I am on an indefinite duration hunger strike, just to make sure the state follows through, as it would in any other situation where a pattern of plea coercion was evident to it. I am asking them to ensure that Mr. Shearer is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for violating the integrity of our courts. I am asking them to find the other kids, whether they be merely his clients or clients of the entire mental health center, against whom pleas were coerced. And I am asking them to study this problem and figure out how to identify perpetrators like Mr. Shearer, who has, for nearly 2 decades, gone undetected in his actions. I'm asking the state to be proactive, because what I have developed is an extraordinary showing, and the state has admitted this. Not everyone it happens to can be expected to be able to develop that showing, but everyone it happens to is entitled to a remedy. Governor John Hickenlooper, I have an open question about whether civil rights matter to my people in your administration's estimation. My people being those children I grew up with in the mental health system. The allegation is made by Mr. Shearer that this was a pattern frequently carried out and in the name of the state of Colorado. If our rights matter to you, you will see it thoroughly and completely investigated, and investigated in a criminal sense. I have made 7 pointed requests of the state. My self-interested request is a remedy for what happened to me, and an apology. 4 of my other points are specific issues of investigation. Will they investigate Mr. Shearer in every way they are able? Will they find the other kids it happened to? And my last point is the point of proactive research. How do we find other perpetrators? How do we stop these men before they are confronted with the one thing they never imagined would happen? Proof. If it is necessary, I will die in the name of these 7 demands. But it shouldn't be necessary, because all I've asked is what the state would already do for any other citizen. My name is Aubrey Shomo, and this is the first day of an indefinite duration hunger strike in the name of the Constitution of the United States, and in the name of the rights that belong to all humanity, irrespective of government or trait. I ask you to join me in this journey, and let's see if civil rights really matter to everyone.